Today on Moviewallas, we talk about Ne Zha 2 and Highest to Lowest. It's time for Moviewallas. Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, it's Rashmi.
And Yazdi as well.
Moviewallas is your weekly dose of film reviews, movie news, and general banter in theatres, on DVD, online streaming, or on the back of an airplane. If you love the movies, this show is for you.
And you.
And you as well.
That's very soulful of you. Thank you for yes-anding me.
Yeah.
All right. We are back to review a couple more movies today. So excited. I think these are both going to be interesting movies to review. I think I'm sensing that there might be a spectrum of opinions, but we'll have to see.
You know what always shocks me?
Go on.
We've been doing Moviewallas a long, long time, and sometimes I still can't predict what the two of you are going to think of a movie. And we're pretty good at keeping poker face, which is kind of half the fun, right? That we come to the table and we're like, oh, I wonder if Joe will like this. I wonder if Yazdi will like this. I bet Yazdi will like this. I bet Joe won't like this. So these two are quite fascinating. I don't know which way they're going to go truly today.
Yeah, I know for the first one, I think, but for the second one, I don't know. Yeah, let's jump
Let's
in.
get
do
into
it.
things.
Yes.
All right. Before we get into our movie reviews, we're going to give you some streaming picks, or maybe we won't because I haven't found one yet. But I'm going to find one while Rashmi and Yazdi tell us all about theirs in our segment of I can't find anything to watch on video on demand. So, what you got?
Okay, so I was going to recommend, I'm going to do a Yazdi today and I'm going to do Yazdi. So I was going to recommend one of my favorite all-time movies, which has just appeared on Netflix, which is Clueless. It's a classic, but I won't. I mean, I will, because I love that movie. But what I really want to recommend is the movie Kneecap, which is a comedy, like a dramedy from last year. I think it was was it nominated for Best Foreign Movie? It got a lot of award recognition. I don't think it made it to the Oscars, but it was a very, very, very well-regarded movie. It's a really interesting, funny. I think I may have even mentioned it during award season, but it's a great comedy drama film written and directed by a guy called Richard Pepiat, and it's actually based on a real band, an Irish band called Kneecap that started to do Irish hip hop. It was like a trio based in Belfast, and it's a caper. It's super fun. It's smart. It says something about the time that we live in, about socioeconomic factors in Belfast, about class, about what's expected of you.
It's a very nice film.
It's such a lovely movie, and it's got some grit to it as well. So my pick is Kneecap on Netflix.
Okay, so my pick is a movie which is playing on Netflix right now. Again, like the previous episode of our podcast, it had been a blind spot for me because I'd heard about this movie forever. I never got a chance to watch it. If you guys know me, then you know that I'm a huge lover of Studio Ghibli. Yeah. And Studio Ghibli is this amazing, some believe the best animation studio in the world. And Studio Ghibli has been associated for a long time with Miyazaki, who has made most of, majority of the movies under Studio Ghibli. But Studio Ghibli was actually co-developed by two individuals. It was developed by Hayao Miyazaki as well as Isao Takahata.
Okay.
And Studio Ghibli's first movie was directed by Miyazaki, and the second movie was directed by Takahata. And that movie is The Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, okay.
And The Grave of the Fireflies is right now, like I said, streaming on Netflix. I've heard great things about the movie. I saw the movie and it just broke me. It just completely broke me. I think everybody should watch it, but please, I guarantee you, you will break into two when you watch this movie. It's easily one of the most successful war movies ever made. It's an animated movie, and the story of the movie is there is this family. The movie starts with Japan being bombed, and this family, this older mom, his teenage son, and the young girl, they are trying to escape bombings. And the mom gets sent to a hospital because she's injured, and this teenage boy and this little girl have to care for themselves through war. The movie is not at all at any point, wagging a finger and saying war is bad. It's based on a book. I don't know if that book is real or not, but it seems awfully realistic to me, and it's just the adventures, not the adventures, but what this teenage boy and this little girl have to go through. And I'm kind of reminded of, we get very political and we say country X is bad and they have a horrible leader and it's waging war on country Y. But we forget that it's the people who are getting bombed who are being impacted. And I had to put myself in the shoes of what would I do if my home went away and if I didn't have water or I didn't have food. And it's
such a reality for what's going on
such
in the
a reality
world
for what's
today,
going
right?
on. And yet it's not a movie which wallows in misery. It just keeps on moving. Like, this is the next thing they do. This is the next thing they do. It's beautifully done. Again, warning: this movie is not a happy movie, but it's got beautiful music. The kids are not annoyingly sweet. They are very, very real. And it deals with life and death and all the big themes. It's just startling. It's gorgeously made. It's like that Studio Ghibli 2D animation with beautiful colors and great sound design. So Grave of the Fireflies is my recommendation. It's on Netflix.
That sounds great. Thank you. I've been doing some furious scrolling here and managed to come up with a pick, which is probably... kind of a Joe pick, more than
a Joe pick.
A Joe pick,
rather
than the Rashmi or Yazdi pick. And that movie is the movie Alien Covenant.
I love Alien.
Alien Covenant.
I like that one too.
The last one. That's the last one, right?
So this was the last one that Ridley Scott did in
After
the Prometheus,
Prometheus
series. And the reason I picked it is, it's coming out on streaming, or came out on streaming on HBO Max on August 1st. But I actually revisited this one evening. I think, Rashmi, you'd gone to bed. It was probably like a Friday night. And I have this movie in my personal collection. So I stuck it on to watch. And I think the movie at the time was very, very misunderstood. I think it was billed as... kind of a more action-oriented follow-up to Prometheus. So we had all of the build-up, and I think what we were hoping for was last year's Alien Romulus. What we got was a deeper exploration of some of the existentialism that was in the Prometheus series, and a lot of it felt unresolved, in part because I believe... I have no evidence for this, that they were planning a third movie in the Prometheus series to wrap things up. But because Alien Covenant effectively bombed at the box office, that didn't happen. So they took the series in another direction with Romulus. More recently, the Freddy, what's his name? The director of The Evil Dead, who really injected a lot of fun back into the Alien franchise. So Covenant is, again, it opens up with a fabulous interaction between David, the synthetic life form, and Guy Pearce, who is this aging character.
Yeah.
And they have this whole almost Shakespearean discussion of what it is to be and who is master and who is caretaker. It's just a very, very, very deeply thoughtful piece of writing. And the movie has its problems. I think it ultimately gets a little lost in terms of the story it's trying to tell. But in retrospect, once I got away from the disappointment of it not being the exciting shoot 'em up that I was expecting it to be, this is quite a movie. So I'm excited to see that that's out on streaming, and I wonder what people will think of it today.
Your recommendation is very timely, because Hulu has just dropped, a whole series. It's called Alien.
That's right. Yeah.
It's called
Yes.
Alien Earth,
And I'm hearing great things about
which I'm
it.
hearing great things about, and it's directed by Noah Hawley, who made Fargo and a few other very
wow.
well-regarded shows.
Okay.
But I think that the Alien Earth is being very well reviewed because
Yes.
they're like, at this point with the Alien series, you don't need a retread of, face huggers and xenomorphs bursting out of people's chests. That's been done 3, 4, 5 times already. But this is such fertile ground for talking about, what is the nature of human identity? What is the nature of, a predatory being, like more philosophical discussions, like what is the nature of artificial intelligence and robots and all of that. And Alien Earth does that exceedingly well, seemingly, and it has a plot about these children's brains being put into these robots to give them consciousness, but they're not fully developed. So there's all kinds of issues. So I think, most people say that this new Hulu version of all the other Alien movies, it kind of circles back more on Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's what I
Okay.
kept saying, yeah.
Because when I heard about the series, I thought, the challenge for me is that the Alien universe requires big bucks and very, very high production values to look good. So I was not that interested in a TV series, but what you're telling me sounds very much like the Battlestar Galactica that we had from a few years ago in the 2000s, which was exceptionally well done with some of the similar themes, right? Cool. Okay, I might check that out then, because when Rashmi said, "Should we watch Alien Earth?" I was like,
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I was literally like, this franchise is very precious to me. I don't like seeing bad versions of it. And so I was worried that might be what we might be getting.
I'm going to hold till the day I die that nothing's ever going to beat Alien and Aliens, the Ridley Scott and James Cameron versions. Those are high art.
Yes.
But yeah. By the way, the series has Timothy Oliphant in it, who's always very good. So anyway.
But I was also a huge fan of Prometheus.
Yes, me too.
So,
Yeah.
to see that, Anyway, all right, so let's recap. Rashmi, your pick was?
Kneecap on Netflix.
Yazdi, you brought us.
Grave of the Fireflies on Netflix as well.
And I suggested we give Alien Covenant another chance on HBO Max.
Very good.
2 movies to review. Should we start with Ne Zha 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Why not?
Let's go.
So Ne Zha 2 is an animated movie, obviously a sequel, which is coming out of China. It had a theatrical release in the United States in March or April, and it was such a smash that it kept playing in cinemas in the US in the Chinese dubbed version for about 3-4 months, which was, unexpected. The movie performed as well internationally. And depending on who you ask, at least in China, it has made $2 billion, BIL, and it's become the most profitable animated movie of all time.
Wow.
Yes.
With a B.
With a B, yes.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, but it's a big market and so forth. So,
But even so.
So I think recognizing that it's globally, not just China, globally it's made so much money. A24, even though the movie had a long run in the US in its Chinese dubbed version, A24 acquired the rights for the English language dubbed version, and it's being re-released as Ne Zha 2 with obviously, dubbed versions. And so that's the movie which is coming to theaters. It is... its original title is Ne Zha Motong Now Hai, and it's directed by Yu
You've
Yang.
been doing your Duolingo, haven't you?
I know. I was like, wow, that's brave.
I'm
Yazdi.
impressed there, yes.
And a little
directed
brave, yeah.
It's directed by Yu Yang with just 3 writers, Xixing Liu,
Did you say
Zhonglin Shu.
lighters?
2 writers, Xixing Liu, Zhonglin Shu, and Yu Yang. And the one-liner for it is that after a great catastrophe, the souls of Ne Zha and Ao Bing are saved, but their bodies face ruin. To give them new life, Taiyi Zhenren turns to the mystical seven-colored lotus in a daring bid to rebuild them and change their fate. So there's a lot of lore here. We all saw this in IMAX in the theater. We saw the English dubbed version. I believe it opened this Friday. What do you guys think of Ne Zha 2?
So I'll start by saying I wish I had seen the original, just so I had some context. I think we talked a little bit about this with the other movie critics before the movie started, and most people said, no, you don't really need to see the first one. This is a pretty much standalone story. But nonetheless, I wish I had seen the first one. The animation is extraordinary in this. It's absolutely stunning and a visual sensory overload. Having said that, this to me is like if someone took the epic story of the Mahabharata, which is a holy book in Hinduism, and squashed that into 145 minutes, this is what we would end up with. So I think that there's no concession here for how culturally
it will translate.
Yeah, it doesn't all the concepts don't translate to a Western story, and I'm not necessarily looking for that, but I think, dare I say it, if it had been a little longer and they could have taken a little bit more time to introduce the concepts in a more Western friendly way, I think this would have been magnificent. I think I left a little bit confused thinking I liked what I saw on the screen, but I'm not sure I got it.
You wanted it to be longer than 2 hours?
No, that's what I said. Dare I say it? But in essence, I wish it had been a two-parter, even.
Yeah,
like or even a series, right? If this was a series where we could really kind of understand the concepts, then we would have enjoyed it a bit more.
I'm in full agreement with you. I mean, I think like 15 minutes into it, I kind of looked over to my side to kind of say to Rashmi, it's like, do you know what the hell's going on? Because I just don't, I'm so horribly lost. And I'm worried I'm going to be sitting here for the next 2 hours in this complete bewilderment. And frankly, I was. I mean, so there's a story, there's some history about these characters that we don't have. But even in the absence of that history, there's a lot going on from scene to scene. And the movie has no qualms about completely almost abandoning its seeming narrative from moment to moment to take it in a different direction. And that's just the type of storytelling that I'm not attuned to.
Yeah.
So for me, I started to tune out of the movie because I wanted someone to love. I wanted someone to hate. I didn't know who they were, and I didn't know who was doing what to whom and when. And then when I thought I understood it, it flipped on its head and took a different direction. So I struggled to stay interested, and I admire it all for all of its beauty, for all of the things you said. I don't think the animation is exceptional in terms of
Really.
No, it's beautifully done, but I think it's nothing that we haven't seen in like a DreamWorks animation, like a Kung Fu Panda, or if we want to stay in that Asian kind of theme, or if so to me, there's absolutely nothing special in this movie for me. That said, what surprised me, given my reaction, was how much the rest of the audience was enjoying this.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of say there's something I didn't get here. And I don't want to slap the movie around too hard because I didn't get it, because that wouldn't be fair. But the people around us who were queuing to get into the advanced screening that we were allowed into as press were clearly fans of this franchise, and they seem to be having a whale of a time.
Yazdi.
Yeah, I kind of sit in between the two of you. I actually think what I saw in terms of animation was unprecedented. I've never seen. I mean, there are scenes where entire armies of humans descend. Like, on the screen, there is like I don't know,
angels or something, like a flying army.
Like 10,000 humans like falling from the sky. That we have seen maybe that kind of animation in other movies, but not this scope. The scope of the animation was just mind-blowing. And it wasn't just one scene or another scene. It was, it obviously a lot of work has gone into it.
And not to interrupt, it wasn't like a cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste.
No.
Each one of those falling 10,000
soldiers or
are doing
angels
something
or whatever.
different. I was like looking, I was thinking, oh my God, what, this is mad.
So my eyes were like a kid in a candy store. I did not know where to look because it was so incredible. So I think if you are an enthusiast of animation and if you truly want to see something, especially on a large screen that you've never seen before, I mean, it kind of reminded me of Lord of the Rings in terms of its ambition and scope sometimes, and just the visual, the epic scale. So I think I would recommend that. But I also completely concede what both of you have said, is that there is so much lore here that I wasn't familiar with. And it's exactly what you said, Joe, at least based on their phenotype of the people. Like some characters are made to look evil and mean, but then somewhere during the movie, they turn benevolent. And then the lead character is supposed to be the title character, but he also does kind of weird, mischievous, evil things. So there's this constant flipping of. I totally empathize with what you said in that I didn't know who to hold on to. Like, whose journey is this, right? I mean, it turns out obviously it's the journey of Ne Zha and his brother. But even so, there was so much happening in these different palaces, and each palace had the different realm of this, and the lotus that, and there's so much of it. I could not get my arms around it, even at a skeletal level, right? I gave up on trying to understanding 100%, but from a plot perspective, I could not grasp the movie. And it's a 2 hour and 48 minute animated movie. So I think if once you're done being dazzled and there's a lot to dazzle you, then it may be like somebody feeding you through the trough. It's like, I don't want to eat anymore. Don't give me anymore. I don't understand what I'm eating anymore, right? So it felt like a little bit of too much. And I think, Rashmi, you make a great point, which is that maybe this would have been better as a series. Or, maybe it should come with like, some credit, like at beginning of every Star Wars, there's a little, the armies have done this and this has happened, like some catching up to do, because it just drops you into the next part of the movie. And I mean, granted, I think this movie was never made for a Western audience. It was made for a predominantly Chinese audience, but because of its exceptional success, we are having access to it. And I think there might be those issues. So I don't know, maybe people should read up on Ne Zha 1 from Wikipedia before they go to see Ne Zha 2. I don't know what the solution is, but it is a bit much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much else to say. I mean, I think it's definitely worth a watch, but I wish that it came with some cliff notes.
Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, I think a background, I'm sure, would help. But I also couldn't escape the fact that from chapter to chapter, there were almost complete reversals, as if they thought,
of moral centers, right?
We're
Everybody's
expecting
right.
us to go in this direction, so I'm gonna, mess with the audience and take us off in a different direction. And maybe there's a reason for that in terms of the background, but I thought I was on an LSD trip at times. I mean, I was struggling with my own reality here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it did feel like it was very well received by the audience, and it was a full theater. I mean, again, IMAX, comfy seats, great sound.
And I was trying to understand, maybe I'm just too, stuck in my ways of thinking in terms of plot. So I tried to kind of relax back and say, let me just have this movie wash over me a little bit. But that didn't work either, because again,
it's not a storytelling style I think that we're used to in the West. It's not linear. It's mythical and epic, and
it's very, very mythical. Yeah.
I don't think we get that concept.
Because there are literally I don't know, hundreds of gods, right? With varying degrees of powers.
And I think your Mahabharata analogy at the beginning was appropriate because, again, I think, there are lots of gods within Hindu religion and culture that, you might know what this particular god is the god of and what that particular god,
and it's almost hierarchical
may do that.
too, right?
So when they enter the scene, you're like, oh, this is, Shiva. This, this is the... Whereas we just don't know who these are. So, all right, it was a real frustrating experience for me. I wanted to enjoy and like it, and I couldn't.
And it's not done to say really well on the tomato.
Yeah, no, that's not to say there's nothing to like. And again, I'll just repeat myself. There is something going on here that I just did not get, and so rating it seems highly unfair. My personal experience was a 5 out of 10. I struggled to stick with it. I struggled to admire even what was going on because I was so frustrated. And literally 15 minutes in, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sit here for another 2 hours because I'm so confused. I was like trying to appeal to one of you. I was like, have I missed something here? Because I just don't know what's happening. I'm like, this is like torture now. I know I've got 2 more hours of this.
And we had really good masala popcorn that day.
Yeah, and I was like, help, somebody help me in this situation. I'm like, I don't want to be in this chair.
Yeah.
So it was like a really painful, frustrating experience. So yeah, didn't work for me. 5.
Yazdi.
I'm looking at Tomato Meters.
I know.
It's 99% audience.
Yes.
And 92%
critics.
But I think maybe this is a bad analogy, but I think if somebody sat me down and had me, watch a 3-hour version of Homer's Iliad without any idea of what was going on, I think I would be just as lost. So I don't know if it's the way it's told or what have you, but for me, honestly, I think just if you're an animation fan, what you're going to see on the screen is truly unprecedented. I have not seen it. And if we didn't see a 3D version, we did see an IMAX version. So for me, that alone is worth going to. But, maybe if you're going to go see it, and it has made more money than any other animated movie, believe it or not. So, just to be a completist or just to be dazzled, I would recommend people go see it. But be aware that it's very hard to the plot is very hard to get your arms around. I also didn't like that the women characters in this story are kind of weak. A lot of the iconography seemed to be borrowed from Hinduism as well.
Yeah, it's very patriarchal in its sensibility. Yeah, a
lot of the characters look like Legolas from Lord of the Rings. So there were a lot of things which are kind of interesting to me. I give it 7 out of 10, but people should watch it for the spectacle and maybe not as much for the plot. And it is a long movie.
I'm right in the middle of both of you. A 6, so 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Nothing.
Moving on then.
Yes. Completely different.
Switching gears completely. Yes, we are going to talk about the latest entry on the resume of director Spike Lee.
Okay, so when a Titan music mogul played by Denzel Washington, widely known as having the best ears in the business, is targeted with a ransom plot, he is jammed up in a life or death moral dilemma. Brothers Denzel Washington and Spike Lee reunite for their 5th in their long working relationship for a reinterpretation of the movie The Great Filmmaker by Akira Kurosawa. This was a well-known crime thriller, High and Low, and it's now played out on the mean streets of modern-day New York City. So this is directed by Spike Lee. It stars Denzel Washington. It's got Jeffrey Wright, Ilfanesh Hadera, A$AP Rocky is in this, Aubrey Joseph, Dean Winters, Rich Fox, Jade Kane, Andy McQueen, and Ice Spice, amongst a few others. Yazdi, why don't you kick us off today? Highest to lowest. And that doesn't reflect our scores, by the way, yet.
I think... Spike Lee is one of a kind. He's made some of the most original American films, iconic films. So any new film he makes is always cause for celebration. I think, I think this is a genre film. Like, this is not a movie which has a lot of, he made The Five Bloods, and that most recently, and I think that was a movie closer to his heart. But this is a movie which is a thriller, right? It's ostensibly a thriller, and so I like when these auteurs, if you will, take on like a genre. Like, you know, he did The Inside Man, which was a great film. That was and the 13th Hour, I think. So he's done his share of like just plain commercial thrillers. So I love the first half of the movie. I actually think this movie is two movies in one. I think the first half of the movie sets you up on a very fascinating moral dilemma. There's a question at the heart of the movie: what would you do if you were in this situation?
Yeah.
It involves. Okay, I will avoid spoilers. Yeah. I think I haven't seen the original Japanese movie, but I think that movie was based on that same moral dilemma. Like, what would you do if you were in this situation? And I think the movie brings you very beautifully to that moral center, and then kind of fizzles out a little bit. And then it seems to become a more traditional thriller where you're trying to find who the bad guy is, and there's a chase. And then the last part of the movie is about this kind of, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on, but it's about this emergence of a conscience in the lead character, which didn't work very well for me. So there are parts of this movie which were kind of a little bumpy for me, but overall, it's gorgeous. Visually, it's beautiful. I have 100 things to say about the movie, but overall, I really love this movie, warts and all.
Joe?
I thought this was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, look, Spike Lee has a way of shooting characters, of handling dialogue. I don't know if he wrote this as well as just directed it, but this movie's got a very old-fashioned sensibility to it. It felt like an 80s movie because...
Did you steal my notes?
Oh, no. But so that speaks to, obviously, the way both of us at least received it. I always, as a film watcher in the mid-2020s, go in looking for, you know, the twist, the clever... you know, the dramatic reveal. This movie is old fashioned in the sense of, it worked. The plot, so it's ostensibly about a kidnapping, and all of those plot elements kind of work. But I kept expecting that there would be some sort of a twist or a revelation that would completely change how I was seeing the world, and that didn't happen. But the movie was not less for it. It's very handsomely shot. It's impeccably acted. Jeffrey Wright, of course, Denzel Washington, who is phenomenal in this movie. It's the best I've seen him for a long time. A$AP Rocky, who again has an important but small part to play, really delivered, and so some of the things that I thought weren't working were really working, and I was like, why is this working? It's the same way that in Spike Lee movies where he does the sidewalk chat where Jungle Fever, those scenes to me seem so film schooly, and yet they always work brilliantly, and that's what this movie was. It's just very well crafted. I loved it.
Yeah, what Joe said. I really, really like this movie. I love that kind of 80s, 90s feel of the beginning. I can't remember the song that plays. Oh, it's
it's like almost a jazz standard.
Yeah. Oh, What a Beautiful Morning.
Right.
Yeah. That wonderful song, right?
Yeah.
It plays through the whole opening, and it's just amazing. And the production of this movie is beautiful, like this fantastic apartment in Brooklyn that they live in. It's just such a love letter to New York. I love the dilemma. I mean, the dilemma is...
It's brilliantly set up.
It's such a good setup. And I was almost like, I came out in the movie and I said to Joe, not to talk about the movie, but can I ask you a question? There was one piece that really confused me about it confused me about the Jeffrey Wright character. So there's a little bit in that I thought was very interesting. I love the music. I want to live in the apartment. I just thought it was a really good movie. And Yazdi, the thing that didn't work for you totally worked for me, in the sense that you have this person who has created a whole new life for himself, and yet at the back of how that's happened in a way is what's reflected in the ASAP Rocky character. And so I like that kind of the holding up of the mirror. And does someone who has struggled through life and now is a huge success go back and actually could make a huge difference in someone else's life? I like that moral dilemma too.
No, I liked it. I just thought it was heavy-handed. I thought they should have backed off. Like, I think actually this movie should have ended like 20 minutes before it does.
Okay.
Because there's so much. There's a whole song which is at the end.
Yeah.
Which depending on where you stand, it might. I'm like, is this movie going to end or what or something?
Right.
But no, I mean, I like that part. By the way, so the movie. This is not a spoiler. The movie starts with this beautiful. So what's his name? Matthew Libatique is the cinematographer, and the whole blissful opening credits. I love movies which have gorgeous opening credits. This has beautiful opening credits.
Yeah.
This drone kind of flies through
New York, through
Brooklyn, and then it lands on this high rise, and where you see, Denzel Washington's character, and you keep seeing that apartment through the movie. I was convinced that that's all CGI, that there is no place in New York which could have these ridiculous views. It turns out there is actually a building called the Olympia, which has the penthouse. And if you're on the Brooklyn Bridge, you can see this building. Oh. So, I was just amazed by that. I really want to talk about the music in this movie at two levels. Mm-hmm. One is...
I know why.
Yeah. So one is this, the music that kind of, the opening song, and then there is this Ice. What's her name? Spice Ice. What is her name?
Slice Ice.
No. She sings the song at the end. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ice Spice. So she plays a character, and she sings. So I love that part. I think if you're going to watch this movie, watch it for a scene in the middle where Spike Lee shows us why he's one of the greatest filmmakers, and it's a whole cat and mouse action scene which is interspersed with this Puerto Rican music festival that is going on, and
that scene is incredible.
It's a marvel of editing, of construction, of it's just so masterful. I love that.
Yes.
So I love those aspects of the music. What I didn't like about the music is there is constant other jazzy music playing. Doesn't stop through the entire movie. And it's very strange because somebody's having some very intense conversations which are really mean and nasty, and there's this gentle piano music playing in the background. Yeah. It really bothered me. Initially I thought, well, it's a choice. But every intense conversation in this movie is set by this kind of jazzy music at the back, which really bothered me.
There was one part where I found it jarring, but I could forgive it because of all of the other stuff that it represented.
But I feel like that's a Spike Lee signature, and if I hadn't known this was Spike Lee, I would be like, this director's doing the Spike Lee thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, think back to moments like movies like Do the Right Thing, where it has an overbearing theme through a lot of it. In that particular movie, it's a very kind of jazz quartet type sound, heavily wind instruments, but he always has this very strong theme tune. Again, in knowing it was Spike Lee, I kind of was like, okay, he's doing the thing.
He's doing his thing, yeah.
That's
like he's adding his signature.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that this movie, he's a very proud black film director, and this movie is made up entirely with African-American characters, right? There are no main characters of any other ethnicity, and I love that.
Just one of the policemen.
Just one of the policemen. I love that he's saying, it doesn't matter. This is a story of very rich people, but they're all going to be proudly black, and they're all going to be, very affluent, and they're going to be. So I love.
Well, they're everything.
They're everything.
Just how everyone
so I
is,
love
right?
Especially, I think right now at this moment in time, we need to see a movie about black people with tremendous power. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overseeing this, but I'd really like that.
I completely understand your point. I just didn't notice it at all because it didn't feel like a thing for me in the music in the movie. But I think the reason it didn't was because we did have the background of it being music industry, and so I figured that's the world in which it lives. But yeah, now that you say those things, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay,
And I've been reading up about it, and Spike Lee has great interest in music. He always has.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, the Denzel Washington character is supposed to be a stand-in for maybe Jay-Z.
Oh.
And once I thought about that, the whole movie kind of shifted in my head. I'm like, oh, is he making a commentary about something? So I mean, it's endlessly fascinating, this movie is, because you can kind of, squeeze and, turn things. The reason I didn't like the last half is there's a part where Denzel Washington is running on the street by himself. He just turns into the Equalizer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, come on. He's in his 70s now.
And that's why I felt the movie was old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Because a modern audience questions that.
Right.
But 80s audience would be like, he's in pursuit of somebody like, quarter his age, and he's keeping up.
Well, not just the age part, but,
because
realistically.
the guy he's pursuing is high on drugs, so.
Right. So anyway, I think this is a movie, it's a cause for celebration. It has its rough edges, but I just loved everything about it. Who is making movies like this right now? And it's a shame that, this movie is going to be in theaters for a few weeks and then it's going to go straight to Apple TV. But this needs to be seen in the theater. It's so gorgeously shot with the dark lights and, scenes set in the night when you're seeing through the apartment and so forth. I think it'll be lost.
The production is stunning. I love the outfits of his wife and just the apartment, and everything is beautiful.
And there's so many in-jokes, right? There is one of the apartment numbers is A24. Did you see that?
No.
And A24 is financing this movie.
Okay.
Right? And then there is so many in-jokes.
Not Apple?
I think it's Apple and A24, which is releasing it together.
Interesting. I love that.
One of the... he has this famous, he's a big, sports fan, and he has this big, lifelong competition
Knicks.
with Boston Red Sox. And there's so many jokes about Red Sox. One of the actors, the white character.
Yes.
He was on Oz. He was a character
That's
on the
right.
show Oz.
He was great. He was great.
And there is a part where somebody says something about Oz. So there's a lot of in jokes built into this, which I really appreciated.
It's very much a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah.
As it says at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, scores. Yazdi, take us away.
8.5 out of 10. I think we are fortunate to live in a world where Spike Lee gets to make these wonderful genre movies, put his stamp on it, kind of make them, not too perfect, but put so much of his soul into it that it's kind of a little rough around the edges, and it gives it so much character. I'm going to back up to an 8 out of 10, but there's back down to an 8 out of 10. There's nobody I wouldn't recommend this movie to. I don't think there is. I think the movie does use a lot of the N-word. I was like,
I wouldn't recommend it to my grandmother.
Right, or to kids of a certain, because there's a lot of crime and all of that, and drug use involved. But outside of that, I think adults 18 through whatever 70, it's a great film to watch. It's cause for celebration. 8 out of 10.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm not sure how broad its appeal is. I think if you are a Spike Lee fan, completionist, whatever, you should definitely see this. If you've never loved Spike Lee movies, then I think all of his signature things that he does are here in the same way that, Wes Anderson doesn't work for me. This might not, if you're not a Spike Lee fan, this might not work for you. But it's so old-fashioned in its sensibility and its storytelling and how it goes from A to B. It's incredibly fun, and it's a way away from award season, but Denzel Washington is the Best Actor nominee and Jeffrey Wright are Best Supporting, because they were both exceptionally believable in their roles in this movie. I mean, these are like really memorable performances for me. So, movie overall 8 out of 10. That's extraordinarily stingy. If I percolate on this, it might go up.
8 out of 10 from me as well. 8. Universal 8s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super fun.
He delivers. Spike Lee delivers.
Super fun.
Denzel is amazing.
And even if it wasn't a Spike Lee movie, I think just at face value, it's such a fun thriller.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's about a crime and it's trying to figure out who did that crime. And there's a lot of moral complexity built in. And on the side, he gets to comment on 100 things.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And Denzel is such a good actor. My God, I've been watching some, he recently just put out something, in all the press stuff, like someone said something about Oscar and he's like, I don't really care about Oscars.
Oh, he has 2 already.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just like that arrogant. I don't know if it's arrogance or just, being so
now.
Comfortable in his own skin, but he is an incredible actor. I mean, I couldn't imagine anyone else doing this. So what a winner.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, just one thing I forgot to mention, which I think is important. You have to let the movie do its thing. And by that, I mean, the ultimate giveaway on how the crime is solved is very simple, almost too simple for audiences, which could get in the way of your... we're used to things being so much more clever, kind of tracing breadcrumbs and piecing things together.
Like
here it's like a single clue that is
like the Mission Impossible takes 7 movies to do it.
Everyone around. So again, know that this is old-fashioned in its guard, right? There's no complex unraveling of the plot. It's like a realization by a character based on a very obvious clue. So.
Yeah, and
again, that's maybe the MacGuffin in this movie. It's not about...
It's irrelevant.
It's the MacGuffin we were talking about.
But I think it would irritate me. It could irritated me in a different mood. If I hadn't been enjoying everything else around it, I'd be like, oh, come on. Like they would have figured that out like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
Not to remotely suggest that I have any skills whatsoever at filmmaking, but I think there's a version of this movie which ends 15 minutes earlier and which doesn't have that jazzy score while people are having very tense conversations. I think that 2-hour movie would be a 9 out of 10 for me.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Appreciate you tuning into Moviewallas. We will be back soon with more reviews. The season is, I think we are in the quiet before the storm.
Yeah,
so
I think we're in the very
it might be a couple more
calm.
weeks before we have another podcast out for you. But I think when September hits and Toronto hits, we're going to get very busy indeed. So stay tuned.
Yes.
Yay.
The Venice Film Festival is going to start, and then Toronto, and then New York Film Festival.
Yep.
That's
and
kicks off
award
the Oscar
season is
season.
upon us. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Until our next podcast. Too many movies, too little time. A goodbye from me.
And me.
And me as well.